Welcome to the podcast. I'm Kristin, your coach and host, and this is episode 34. Today, what I'd like you to do before we do anything is just take a deep breath out. If you're anything like any other human being right now, you've got a lot of tension and you've got a lot to do. And as you hear my voice, I'm just inviting you to breathe. And as you do that, soften through your face, soften through your shoulders. These are just invitations. Take what you like and leave the rest. Soften through your belly. See if you can lift the crown of your head so that you're sitting up tall. And simply try saying to yourself, I am worthy. And try that on, just like you're trying on a shirt. I'm worthy. So all of the things that you have to do and all of the things about you, all of the things that are amazing about you and imperfect about you, none of that really matters. Not one thing is sharper than the other. You're worthy. Where you are right now in your life, you're worthwhile. And with that, I'd like you to continue to breathe, and I'm going to give you an invitation to become a patron, to become a supporter of this podcast and this show by heading to patreon.com/mylifeinhighgear. If you can do a monthly contribution to support this, it would mean a huge amount, and it will keep the podcast going and give this information that provides peace in a time of chaos to other people who need it. And that is really, really important. And so are you. You're really, really important. So I challenge 50 of you to go ahead and do that to support the podcast. And the people who support the podcast now, I'm not sure if you've heard this yet, the people who support the podcast on Patreon now get monthly a free exclusive life hack from me every month, which is really cool. And it's something that only you guys get. So something nice. This is a great time to follow the Life in High Gear community on Instagram. So you just go to @lifeinhighgear. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, take a second, please, to rate, give us a 5-star rating if you think this is worthwhile, and review it if you can. That also helps other people to find this information. So now we've got that out of the way. I'd like to talk with you about something that is the simplest thing that my private coaching clients like. And we've talked about this. It's a life hack, really. We've talked about this in earlier episodes, but now I see and hear from you more. So I'd like to go through this and go through this life hack so that you have what you need to succeed every day. It's so simple. It's one thing that you can do every day that's so simple that changes the entire course of your day. So as you're hearing me describe this, just simply breathe, rest your whole body, and know that I'm about to give you something that will help you and that you can use every day. That's free, that's simple. So I'm going to give you a little show and tell here. This is a notebook, a simple notebook. It's my notebook that I'm using right now just for me, and I'll tell you where that comes in. This is a brand new notebook that I am going to use, and these are notebooks that I've used for myself. This is a new notebook, actually. I'm showing it to those who are watching on YouTube. So I've got a new notebook in my hand. It's a Moleskine notebook. You can get these a lot of places. A lot of big box retailers have them, and you can also get them directly from Moleskine. I'll put a link to how you can buy this in the show notes for this episode. In another hand, I have a stack of notebooks that I've used just in the past year. And why is this important? I'll explain. People in our Life in High Gear community have a practice that has been so effective. And if you look around, you'll see that you can actually buy journals that are quartered off with different things that you can do as a practice every day. But I know for a fact that those aren't effective for most people. What I'm offering you right now is a practical tool that's effective for most people. And here's what this is. In a notebook, a simple notebook, the one that I have brought up to you, the Moleskine one or any other notebook, what you're going to do is, I've taken a day. You're going to take a day, and what I have written down here is Sunday, March 7th, 2021. And every day you're going to write down at the top of the page a to-do with a colon. And halfway down the page, you're going to write down self-care with a colon. That's all. What you do for your to-do list is you're going to write down things that you have to do that day, that if you don't do them by the end of the day, it's going to put you in a really seriously bad situation. Seriously bad. So for example, if you have laundry to do, but you can kind of let it pile up for 2-3 days and it's not a big deal, then that is something that you're not going to put on your to-do list. If, however, you have laundry to do, and if it's not done by tomorrow, then you don't have what you need to function tomorrow effectively, you're going to write down laundry and be specific. You're going to wash it, dry it, and put it away. Okay? So that's what you're going to write down. You're also going to write down under your to-do list the things that you have to do for your professional life. And this should not be a long list. Some of you have a professional life where you use apps or to-do list systems like Trello, or Microsoft has its own product. Trello is a great product. There are a lot of great products out there to manage a to-do list for professions. I don't recommend that for you as a coaching client. What I recommend is that you extract, if you're using an app such as Trello or a Microsoft product or an Apple product or another app as a to-do list, that you take what's only vital to you. So it's personal to you. What if you don't get that done today? It's going to be a problem. You have to do that today. So let's say it's a proposal. And let's say you know that this is going to take you 1 to 2 hours to do. That would go on your list and you would write down proposal. And you have to do that today. Then you write down, you continue, just the things that you have to do that day. This is going to come with practice. So every day that you do this, you're going to do this for every single day. You write the date at the top of the page, and then you write down the things that you have to do. You will notice that as you do this, there are some things that you don't get done. And when you notice that, please pay attention to them. And let's say one of them was this proposal. I personally, and have clients who do this as well, like to draw a circle next to it. So if I go to the next day and it's already Monday, March 8th, 2021, I will know and I will look at the day before and say, oh, I didn't get that proposal done. And then I have to feel the effects and consequences of that. And I'll move that over to Monday. And then I'll know that I have to get that done. And I'll also have the consequences of that. The most important part of the page is self-care. So underneath self-care, if you have, let's say, 4 things on your to-do list or 8 things, let's go with 8. If you have 8 things on your to-do list, you will need to have at least 9 under self-care. So for my private clients, I encourage them, even if they're small things for self-care, even if it's something small like wash my hands, wash my face, take a short walk, make a phone call, those things will go under self-care and they can be very small. So I'm going to put under self-care as an example, call Matthew. This is a made-up person. So you'll put under self-care, call Matthew. You might have walk. You might have exercise. And same like your to-do list, you'll be specific, what is the exercise that you're going to do? What time is it? How long is it? And be very specific with the rest of your self-care list. And if you don't get that done, so let's say it's some people, this is a very common thing that people will they'll put in, take a bath. Let's say you didn't make time for that. Then you'll also put a circle or mark it however you like, and you'll carry it over to the next day. So you'll carry it over and you'll say, and you'll look at this and say, well, wow, I wasn't really that important to myself on Sunday the 7th. And you can also, this is an opportunity, you can also look at what got in the way. What got in the way of your work? What got in the way of your self-care? And each thing that you write down, I invite you to ask yourself, how important is it? How important is it that you do the things that are vital to your professional and personal life? How important are they? If they're not important, they won't be on your to-do list. There's an earlier podcast where I explain that there's one word that can really ruin, I think the podcast is called How This One Word is Ruining Everything for You. And I think it's in the 20s, the podcast. It's episode 20 something. There's a word that is ruining everything and it is ineffective. And I invited you to take it completely out of your vocabulary. And that word is should. And I did a whole podcast about that and how you can remove it and why you remove it. So I'll just review that here now that we're talking about this practical tool of using your notebook. This is not something that you use in your phone. You don't have an app for this. The clients I work with find it so helpful to do this in writing because it's intentional. And once you do something, let's say you did this proposal on your to-do list on Sunday, you cross it out. And that's satisfying. Erasing it or clicking like a check mark in your phone is not as satisfying. It's just not. And this isn't my opinion. This is the opinion of so many people in our Life in High Gear community and these private clients who I work with. It just doesn't work. There's a reason why writing this in a notebook is helpful. So back to this word that is ruining everything. If you're writing things down that you should do, that's a mistake. And falling into that trap is detrimental to your mental well-being, to your emotional well-being, to your mental, emotional, and even physical health. If you have on your list, I should exercise, that is not a commitment. That's an idea. That's not an intention. And so this isn't something you're manifesting. This is something practical that you're doing one day at a time. And these are things that you can do. And you will look every day, if you accept my invitation to do this practice, you'll look every day and check out, well, let's say you don't go to self-care and you have call Matthew or call whoever, and that is a phone call that would make you feel good, and it's a phone call that would be nourishing to your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. If you don't do that, not only do you not cross it out, but you mark it somehow, maybe put a circle next to it, and you can say to yourself, well, why wasn't that important? And then what happens is day after day of doing this, and I showed you that I, like many other people who I work with, I walk my walk. So I have notebooks that I use myself. My clients also will do this, and day after day, they will notice what's important and what's not. So, it's very interesting to go back through the notebook and see what is important and what's not. So taking that in, this is not a revolutionary idea. Just breathe as you hear my voice. But it is so effective. And I'll give you some examples of that. and I'm not going to justify or explain or defend this practice. What I will do is tell you that people have had so much success with this because this is a coaching tool that makes you accountable to the most important person in your life, which is you. So ultimately, you can utilize me as your partner in crime. You can utilize me as your coach. And to do that, by the way, you can go to the show notes or you can see on my Instagram bio, there's a link tree, which is just a link, a set of links, and you can book time with me to work with me for 30 minutes, or you can book time to work with me for an hour. And then from there, we'll decide what you need and we'll move forward. But this is a tool that makes you accountable to you. And my private clients do usually show me their journal or diary, whatever you'd like to call this. They do usually show it to me to be accountable also to me. But ultimately, this makes you accountable to yourself. That's the main takeaway. The other thing that I've seen people do that's hugely successful about this is they're able to notice what is a priority and what's not. So I invite you, we're coming up to a new month. I invite you in the month of April 2021, which is the next month coming up. You can start a fresh notebook, or you can just start today, wherever you're hearing this or listening or watching this. Just crack open a notebook and start. It could even be a notebook you've been journaling in or using for doodling or whatever it is. Crack open the notebook, start a fresh page. In the one I have, the reason why I like the Moleskine notebook is many reasons, but I like the lined notebook, and then it has a bookmark and you can put the bookmark in, close it. And I use one that has a little rubber band around it. So it just is nice to have with you all the time. So I encourage you to open the notebook, write down the date, and write down what it is that you're going to do, and then write down the things that you're going to do for self-care. Now, taking a slightly deeper dive into this practice, if you're with me so far and you're like, okay, Kristin, like I could get down with this, I could do this. Well, great. The next thing that I invite you to do in your notebook is to write down what you're grateful for. And I'll tell you why. Life right now is really, really hard, at least now at the time of this recording. Life right now is uncertain, tenuous at best. This is being recorded in March of 2021. People are starting to go back to their workplaces with lots of different things in place, barriers, different rules. It's uncomfortable, uncertain. Things feel temporary. Things feel uncomfortable, frankly, for a lot of people. There's a lot of fear right now. And what can shift you out of being fearful is looking at the things that you can be grateful for. So we're going to take a pause for meditation, just noticing your breath. And we're going to shift all together into another space of gratitude. So as you breathe, notice the space between the edge of the breath, the ending of that breath, the pause, and then the new breath in coming in through your nose. So let's do that again. Exhale out. Notice the end of that breath. Hold it out for a moment and draw your breath in. So as you continue to breathe in this measured way, I'm inviting you to think of the things that you're grateful for, and you can add this into your practice of writing in your notebook. You can put this under self-care, and just writing down 3 things that you're grateful for can be a really, revolutionary practice, because most people, the things we talk about on this podcast, most people don't do. So congratulations to you that you're even listening and watching this. You're already so far ahead of most people, because the things that I'm giving you as tools, most people don't do. The people I work with are highly successful individuals who want to and do resolve incredibly difficult problems in their life. And I walk with them through that. This that I'm teaching you is the most basic and the simplest way to solve your problems on a daily basis. So shifting into gratitude under self-care, I'd like for you to write some things that you're grateful for, and I'm going to do it right now with you. So I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my family and friends. That's secretly 2 things. And I'm grateful for you, my community. So I've written that down. So what happens is when you find yourself in a bad mood or a place of fear, a place of uncertainty, which is so human and so normal, especially during these times, simply by writing down, getting in touch with 3 things minimum that you're grateful for. It could be water. It could be sleep. It could be the fact that you have a roof over your head. All of those things are simple things to be grateful for, and it will shift you out of any negativity. You can still feel the negativity, but it'll shift you out of that slightly and enough to be able to be productive, to go back to your to-do list, get those things done because you're worthwhile, and your self-care list, and get those things done because you are so worthy of care. When you take good care of yourself, and when you do the things that you have to do every day, simply with a sense of ease, without a sense of pressure, and certainly without a sense of, I should do this, things flow more easily. I know this from experience, and my clients have this experience as well. So now you can have this. When you go through your self-care list and you do something as simple as drink 8 glasses of water, you're telling yourself physically, practically, that you matter. And you do matter. You are important. I've given you the tool of the to-do and the self-care list, and we'll call it the Life in High Gear notebook practice. That's a lot of words, but we'll call it the notebook practice for now. If you're thinking, well, I'm just gonna do this, I'm gonna get out my phone, I'm gonna do this in my phone under notes, I urge you not to. I urge you to try this. I have never seen anyone who has not benefited a lot from doing this. So I urge you to try it because I'm giving you this tool and I know it works. And most people, as I said, won't do this. The second deeper dive into it is the gratitude practice, which will shift you from uncertainty, negativity, fear into a place that's positive and productive and clear. So you then can go back to your to-do list and your self-care list with confidence. The last thing I'll leave you with is maybe the most important thing that I offer you that you could do when you wake up tomorrow, and you can even do it right now when you hear my voice, but I urge you to do this when you wake up. The teacher, coach, spiritual writer, author, Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's no longer with us, he taught that when he would get up every morning, he would put his feet on the ground as he would sit in his bed, and he would get up. Before he even gets up to stand, though, he would put his feet on the ground and he would say, "Thank you." And This is a gratitude practice, but it's not writing down all the things you're grateful for, or even 3 things you're grateful for. It's simply waking up and saying, thank you. Now, do I care whether you're saying thank you to the universe, to your source, to yourself, to a tree you see out the window, to a table, to a chair, or to God? See, I'm not a big fan of saying God because that tends to alienate people. But whatever you call your higher self or a higher power or nothing, simply saying thank you is enough. So for those of you who maybe were English majors like me, you'll know that in a sentence, there's a subject and a verb, and then there's an object. So there's, he sat on a chair, but he sat is a full sentence, and thank you is a full sentence. Thank you is enough, is my point. You don't have to say thank you to whom. If you want to, that's your business and your responsibility, and I'm cool with whatever you decide to do. So maybe practice saying thank you right now as you take a breath, knowing that thank you is enough, you are enough, you're worthy and worthwhile, you matter. And I hope that you take me up on this practice, the practice of writing down in a notebook just what you have to do that day, then what you're going to do for self-care, and maybe a couple things that you're grateful for if you want to go that extra step. And I hope that you also take me up on that practice of just waking up in the morning and saying thank you. It will shift you in terms of a success mindset, a peaceful mindset. Most people who I work with and come into contact with are not looking for these wild pie in the sky dreams to achieve. They're already successful, and you're successful already. What we're achieving here is peace. And if you're hearing my voice and seeing my face, you deserve to be peaceful because you are worthwhile and lovable, and you do matter. So with that, I am going to invite you to slide into my DMs on Instagram. I do answer those. You can email me. You can leave a review in Apple Podcasts and let me know how this went for you. You can also email me. Everything you need to get into contact with me is in the show notes and in the link tree in my bio on Instagram. I know this is going to go well for you if you do it. So I invite you to do that. And until next time, be well.